Hi, everyone. My name is Tegan Kline. I am the co-founder and business lead of Hedge and Node. My guest today is Kyle Samani, the managing partner of Multicoin Capital. Kyle graduated from NYU Stern School of Business in New York City. And Kyle can be found on the cap tables of many crypto projects. And he has oftentimes been one of the first checks in to many projects across the blockchain ecosystem, kind of taking early bets. Some that otherwise might not be taken. And I would say he's responsible for bringing certain projects into existence. So I really hope that you all really enjoy today's conversation with Kyle. So Kyle, I would love to just begin with your story. Where did it all start and how has your journey been thus far?
Tegan, I'm flattered. You're too kind, and it's a pleasure to back you and the graph and everything you all have done. It's been fantastic to kind of see your rise over the last few years. And pleasure to be on the show. Longtime follower of the Real Vision. So how did I get my start? And is it me or did Multicoin start or both?
I would say you. Let's start there, then we can kind of go into Multicoin after.
Sure. So I was born in Austin, which is where Multicoin is based today. My mom is a dentist and my dad's a computer scientist turned entrepreneur. Very fortunate to have grown up around software and technology and programming. I had a hardware phase when I was like 9, 10, 11, and that turned into a software phase when I was 11, 12. Started programming at that time. Went to NYU to study finance, thinking I wanted to go down the finance career track. While I was in college, I kind of realized my passion was the intersection of software and finance. And I met Tushar at NYU. Tushar is my co-founder and the other managing partner at Multicoin. And we became very good friends in college, kind of bonding over our shared interest of software and finance. After college, I got the startup bug and did not want to go down the banking route. And so came back to Austin. And at the time, health IT was pretty hot. This was like 2011, 2012 timeframe. And got into health IT. In 2013, I launched my first startup called Pristine. Pristine built software for Google Glass for surgeons. I know Google Glass was a very silly consumer product because obviously you look like a clown wearing one. But it was actually a very interesting tool for surgeons because surgeons are sterile. They have to work with their hands. And so we built kind of workflow automation tools for surgeons for Google Glass. Grew the business to about 30 employees, raised a few million in venture, got to a few million in revenue, and then Google killed Google Glass, which, as you can imagine, was a small problem for the business. So after that happened, I pivoted the company, and the company was ultimately acquired in a small little engineering and IP pickup. And I found myself unemployed. And in early 2016, I discovered this thing called Ethereum. And Ethereum has really pulled me into crypto. I had obviously heard of Bitcoin before, but I just didn't have like any interest in monetary policy or macroeconomics or like strong libertarian leanings. And so like kind of all of the early, I'd say traits of Bitcoin that pulled in the early people just didn't appeal to me. So I didn't get it. But Ethereum clicked for me because I recognized it as permissionless programmable money. I had at that time recently actually looked into Stripe's APIs. And I remember like looking at Stripe's APIs and knowing what I could do with it. And I looked at Ethereum and I was like, oh, like one of these is a child's toy. One of these is like the future of money. And it was like very obvious to me that like although I didn't understand all of the reasons why Stripe had so many limitations on what you could do, it was very obvious to me that like they were going to have structural limitations and were not going to be overcome. And so that kind of pulled me into crypto. And, one thing led to another, and I started reading and learning and investing my own money. And eventually, obviously, decided to launch Multicoin at some point.
Amazing. Yeah, I didn't realize you had met Tushar in college. That's great. And I know you guys are a great team. I guess for those listening, I think what would be best is for those kind of unfamiliar with Multicoin to kind of hear the thumbnail sketch of that founding story and how that started and what's really unique about Multicoin.
Yeah, sure. So, kind of started investing my money in 2016 in crypto. Tushar started investing as well at that time. Kind of started going down the rabbit hole together. Started dabbling with other things that were around at the time. There's like Monero and Augur and Zcash, some of the early stuff. And kind of by the spring of 2017, I realized that my, internet hobby had turned into like an internet passion. I was spending 30, 40 hours a week reading about crypto on the internet. I was like, I can do this professionally. Very fortunate that guys like Olaf at Polychain and Jake at CoinFund had already launched crypto funds. I'm not sure I would have come to believe I could have done it professionally had other people not already tried. And so in May of 17, made the decision to launch Multicoin with Tushar, started figuring out like how to set up a fund, which we had no idea what we were doing. We like called all of our New York hedge fund friends and we're like, hey, like, do you know any lawyers that will help us set up a fund? And all the fund lawyers we spoke to at the time, I mean, easily half a dozen lawyers must have rejected us. They were like, we're not going to do business with you as a client. Like, this sounds like sketchy. But eventually found a lawyer who was willing to help us set up a crypto fund. His name is Simon Ravelis. He was great to work with in the early days. And then we started marketing, we made a pitch deck for a fund and started marketing it to our friends, basically. We ended up launching our hedge fund on October 1st of 2017. We launched with, I want to say $2.5 million. I think it was $2.5 million. About half of it was our own, and the other half was from our early kind of angel investors, seed investors. And yeah, just kind of then we started writing a blog. I remember as we were talking about, like how do we market ourselves and build a brand, I was like, oh yeah, like I knew I loved writing blog posts and being very analytical. And I knew at the time we were launching, I was sure that 10 other people were doing the exact same thing, which was directionally true. Other people were. And I remember thinking there's going to be 10 people who look like me, like 20, late 20s, like entrepreneurs, like turning into crypto fund managers, and they're all going to like do blog posts like I do. And at least at that time, that was wrong. Multicoin was kind of the only firm at the time who was really doing that. And that remained true for like a year or so, like a shockingly long period of time, longer than we expected. And I think that we're very fortunate. And a lot of our blog posts kind of really went viral, I think, especially in the Silicon Valley community, and helped us get plugged in there and kind of meet the kind of rest of the core crypto community. I think the other thing we did really well in the early days was we traveled just a ton. We went to China, we went Mexico, all over the US, Europe. I was on a plane for 120, 130 days for the first 2 years of Multicoin before COVID. And meeting people in person is really important. So that's kind of how the story came together and how Multicoin kind of got off the ground. We had absolutely no idea what we were doing. Portfolio management processes, like investor onboarding processes, investor communication, just everything was like, very like haphazard. But we're very fortunate our early investors believed in us. And we started to kind of mature the firm through the first 6 months.
I hope you enjoyed this clip and will decide to join us for the rest of the interview, among many others, on realvision.com/crypto. The crypto channel is 100% free. You just have to sign up. Look forward to seeing you there.